Let's play Major League Baseball.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Well, one more curveball, and that should be about it, because Derek Bell isn't even coming close. Here comes the hook. Got him! 20 strikeouts!
Holy cow! You don't know how to play first base. Scott? That's right. It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, watch.
It's incredibly hard.
And a high fly ball hammered deep toward right. Back goes Kearns. It's a grand slam for Lee. Oh, that's got to make him feel great.
Funky, butt loving.
Wind up and the pitch. Montero drives one in the air. Deep right field. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Grand slam, Miguel Montero. Let the big doggy. You like the red shoes or the blue shoes better?
Like that. I like the blue shoes better. Way out of here. Oh, my gosh. Onto the roof. He hit it onto the roof across the street. I have never seen that. On top of the building.
I just figured out why the Cubs lose every year. They got more talent in the stands than they do in the field.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it and throw to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
You gotta fight for your right. Did he say funky butt loving?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rebel North podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Chicago Cubs. And I'm here with my boy Josh Ward, as always. What's up, dude? How are you?
Nothing much, man. What's going on?
Nothing, man. Let's just let's go ahead and address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Yu Darvish gets traded, man. Yu Darvish gets traded. Look
gone.
And you know what?
Just like that.
And after everything that we were hearing about, we're going to contend, and we're still hearing.
Yeah, we're still hearing that.
That we're going to contend.
Yep.
Yu's gone. Along with you, Victor Caratini was a part of the deal. So Victor Caratini's gone in a deal that brought back Zach Davies and
four minor league prospects.
Minor league prospects. A lot of lefties in those prospects.
A lot of young guys.
Yeah, a lot of young guys.
People that can't even celebrate New Year's with a drink.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, and I'm okay with it. We'll start off with that. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I didn't think that the Cubs were going to be a World Series contender regardless.
Yeah.
Like I always thought, and I said it this morning on Sean and Maya in the morning. I was like, I just feel like there will be. If they were going to go ahead and try to, run this back with everybody, same team, I felt like they were just going to be the same team. You know what I mean? That nothing was going to change.
Same thing that happened this year. Exactly.
Exactly. So, I felt like it was time for somebody to move, and we just kept hearing Bryant, of course, Baez. Like I said, do it. Like I'm willing. I'm up for anything, as long as it brings back what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do a rebuild, at least let's do a rebuild. If that's the lane you're gonna pick for this season or for next season, then let's pick this lane and not do it half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect the trade that Jed Hoyer did. You're right. I didn't see the Cubs being World Series contenders in 2021 anyway with Yu Darvish. They had him last year against the Marlins, and they didn't score any runs, and they lost. So there's a lot more issues with the team than, that. So
yeah, and I feel like, like I said, I just felt like we were going to be the same type of team with, one big guy, Kyle Hendricks. Although he's been, great, I just feel like you can't put all the pressure on him.
Well,
like what you're doing is like you're expecting Kyle Hendricks to be the guy. He has to be perfect. Like that's exactly what Kyle Hendricks has to be for the Cubs to get anywhere deep. Like if that it's a delusion if you think the Cubs are going to get deep. But like if they were, Kyle Hendricks would have to be a hero. Like you'd have to have a historic type of a season in order for this team, for this ball club to get there. Dude.
Forget pressure on Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks is ice in his veins. He doesn't feel any pressure. The pressure is on Alec Mills. Alec Mills now has to be that number 2 guy, you know, and the pressure on Alzolay, you know, if he is going to be the guy in that rotation this year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on those 2 guys. Hendricks, you know, he just has to go out there and do the thing that he's been doing his whole career, but now he has to give them 200 innings. You know, they can't give him a short leash. He has to be the guy that's going to go out there and be the stopper when the Cubs are on losing streaks. He has to be the guy that's going to give you 7 to 8 innings guaranteed, if not a complete game. And he's capable of that. We've seen him do that a bunch of times. And now, you know what? This is his time. He's the ace of the staff. He's, you know, the head honcho. And I expect him to do the same things. It's the other guys that are going to be the pressures on them.
Well, here's the thing. Now you got a guy like Zach Davies.
Yeah.
Does Zach Davies slide in and be your number 2? Like that's in my eyes.
Capable.
In my eyes, the guy's coming off his best is you know, obviously clearly his best season.
I mean, looking at his career stats, you know, he's had a good run in the major leagues. You know,
and that was in 19. These are his 19 stats. Was he hurt last year? He wasn't hurt last year. Where is he?
They might have sent him down to the minors in Milwaukee. Last year was his only year with the Padres, and yeah, he had a career year that year. So
I think this has it listed for some reason.
Oh well, you're looking at his batting.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, thank you. Maybe I should get the hell out of there.
2.73 ERA last year. In 12 games, you know.
He's not going to strike a lot of guys out, but what he is what I feel like he
only 63 strikeouts last year.
He fits in with the guys in the rotation, like not very overpowering.
No,
but they're
he's a good location pitcher.
Exactly, and you know, like a Mills, like it's weird they kind of
his last 2 years. I mean, he's had winning records 7-4 with San Diego and 10-7 with Milwaukee in 2019. And in 2019, he gave them 31 starts. So he had almost 200 innings, 160 innings he gave them. So
maybe the Cubs are trying, like they continue to say they're going to win, or they're going to try to contend. So they're going to try to contend in a different way that we want them to be built. Like, I mean, obviously, like Zach Davies isn't a guy that's going to overpower, like blow you away.
No.
But maybe they start to, I don't know. Maybe they start to maybe this is the way they show us how they're going to try to contend. There's pitchers that can keep the game in hand and aren't going to go ahead and go give up many runs.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a lot of movement on his pitches, so that might favor well for him at Wrigley. And yeah, I mean, he's a control pitcher. He's going to be another Kyle Hendricks and Alec Mills type of guy. So I think the Cubs really need to go after a free agent that can kind of break up that slow stuff. You know, they need somebody that could throw a little hard in that rotation.
That's what you get, like an Azalea.
Yeah,
you got him. He's younger, and then they were talking about Marquez. I'm not gonna say I forgot his first name. Anyway, there's another guy that they brought up. I'm gonna have to. I have to look it up now. That can throw.
Braylon Marquez.
Yeah, Braylon. Yes. That can throw pretty hard. So I'm thinking like this is going to be like, and I said it this morning. I feel like there's going to be a 2-year little. I'll call it a. I don't want to call it a window because, like, I mean, that would imply that they're going to go after something. I'll just say there's going to be a 2-year setback.
It's a retooling.
It's a 2-year retooling.
Yeah. And
you'll see the Cubs, like, the next time you're going to see the Cubs truly contend for a World Series, I think it's going to be 2023, and maybe 2024. Like, I feel like, yeah, they're gonna sell to, if you're allowed in next year or whenever we're allowed to go out, like, you're going to sell tickets, you're going to get, you're going to have your Cubs fans, but, there are other problems that the Cubs have. I mean, COVID's really screwed everything up for them with their hotel, I mean, marquees, and everything like that. Like, they got a lot on their hands, but as far as contending, they can still contend, like, I see the Cubs just being one of those middle of the pack teams that are like, okay, yeah, they got into the playoffs. Maybe they scared a better team. Maybe they won a game. You know what I'm saying, in the divisional and are just blown out by them. You know what I mean? Or maybe they upset somebody and then get blown out in the ALCS. The thing is that they can use that as leverage to be like, oh, we're on the right track. But it's like, I mean, I doubt you, and trust me, that's not what's going to happen this year. Not at all. They're not going to upset anybody and get anywhere.
No.
Like it's a given. They're they'll have some success because you still have a core with Contreras,
if they don't trade them away, yeah.
Bryant, and Rizzo. And Jed already had said, well, he had said earlier from what's being reported is that they were all there's no truth to the rumors of Wilson Contreras going anywhere. But I still think that if the Cubs, and I've said this plenty of times, we've talked about this plenty of times, is that if the Cubs go ahead and they're not winning by the deadline, look for it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's what you're hoping that Chris Bryant and Wilson Contreras value will go up if the Cubs are not doing good this first half of the 2021 season. And they could trade those guys and get assets back. At this point, it's all about trying to get as many minor league prospects back as possible and trying to rebuild that farm system again for the next era of Cubs championship baseball, hopefully, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, with these moves that they made for Yu Darvish, these guys that they got back, yeah, they're all young. And because of last season, they weren't able to have a minor league system because of the COVID. But you know what? You and I were looking at their videos, their prospect videos, right before we started our show, and we kind of like what we saw. They're young guys. You know,
you're not going to get like instructional league baseball, and you know what I mean. Like one of them, Owen Casey, who I think is probably like we were just saying that
he's the one that got drafted in the second round by the Padres, and they traded him away already. So
right, and I'm like,
that could be a diamond in the rough right there, you know.
Right, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, that like we're watching his swing. Like, he has a compact swing. He doesn't look, and he plays a corner.
He plays in right field right now.
Okay, he plays a corner outfield, and I mean, the Cubs are obvious. All these guys are lefties, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a switch hitter.
Oh, a switch hitter, and then
Reggie, I think.
Yeah, and then a bunch of lefties. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these guys, you know, are progress, you know, through the Cubs system. And then Yason Santana.
He's the only one with previous minor league games under his belt.
And he looks good as well. He looks like he's been coached up, and he looks like a compact swing. He's not swinging out of his shoes.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he was an all-star in the Dominican League before.
And he looks good, but we're not going to be able to tell anything much. Like just what we're seeing from like the little highlights that we saw. That's not going to tell you very much about these guys. But I mean, if there's potential, cool. Try to exploit that potential.
Yeah.
And those guys are what I don't know what ranking they were in the. Like I know they weren't top 10
through 19 in their.
So they were picked out. They were picked out from that second 10. Yeah. So 11 through almost 20.
Yes.
Like you're saying, those are the number of prospects that they were.
Yeah.
That they were ranked. So like anywhere from the 4 guys from anywhere between 11 and 20. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I heard, if I'm not mistaken, Reggie, Reginaldo, whatever.
Right.
He's gonna eventually be this year in the top 100 prospects of all the minor leagues.
Yeah.
So when that comes out, he should be on that list now. And he's the youngest one. I want to say he's the 18-year-old. So a lot of hype for him. And you know, hopefully he develops into a great player, man.
And honestly, like, you know, and I understand Yu Darvish is Yu Darvish, and he's coming off a great year, but he is getting older. He's 34. Was he going to be 35 this year?
He's going to be 35 before the season starts.
Okay, so he'll be 35 when the season starts. And I mean, if the Cubs aren't in the position to truly win now in the next couple of years, what was the point of keeping Yu Darvish?
Yeah, and say he goes off to a rough start because the Cubs team isn't that good, and his trade value goes down, and now you're stuck with a $20 to $21 million that you got to pay him this year,
right?
And you got to pay him next year 19 and 18 after that, and he's going to be 36, 37 after that. You know what? It's better to get him off your books now. You're not going to win a World Series with this current Cubs team. You need to retool. You need to get younger. You need to.
I like the getting younger.
Yeah, you need to get a pitching staff that is young, and then you could get a core of them, and develop it so that you could have it for like you did in 2016. And
I was saying this too earlier. The league is getting younger.
Yeah,
the league is getting younger quickly, and it's not complete yet. You still have guys that can look. Look, Pujols is still in the league, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he's chasing history.
He's just chasing history. He's saying that the machine just keeps hitting dingers, baby.
Dingers.
Just keep hitting dingers and RBIs, and that's what he does. And for me, I just like it's getting young. So why not try to get young as well? We are like the core will still be.
Their core is still young,
youthful.
Yeah.
By the time you're ready to contend again, and like I said, and maybe. If you do it, if all goes well, the next 2 to 3 years, after these next 2, possibly 3 years, you'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you said, you have the ability with the core through that time to contend. And Zach Davies is only 27 as well.
Yeah, but they only got him for 1 year.
Right. So
if they plan to keep him, I'm down with that. Because they definitely are desperate and need pitching. They can't afford to let another guy leave their rotation after this season. So right now they're trying to get that rotation put together. You lose a guy like Yu Darvish, and you kind of expect a guy like Zach Davies to kind of eat up those innings that Yu Darvish had last year. So
right, and it's like I said, you're just trying to tread water. You're being realistic. I'm sure the Cubs have a number of what they can truly realistically pull off. As far as wins,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a world of ethics, you got to have some type of idea of how many wins you can have or you could get coming into this year. And for me, I just feel like the Cubs are a 89 to 83 win team.
I think right now, I think they know that the race to win the Central Division is 85. If you could pull off 85 wins, your chances of winning the NL Central are good, based on what the other teams are looking like right now. It could change. Someone could make a big free agent signing from here till April 1st. But, right now it's not looking like that. And the Cubs feel like, yes, they could do a rebuild, right? Still compete in the same year,
Right.
As long as they got their core guys are going to be healthy. And if things plan out in the beginning of the year and it carries them into the All-Star break, they don't have to really trade anybody because they're, would be in first place or whatever. Winning
is
solves everything.
Yeah, winning solves everything, and it's not winning the World Series. It's just for the Cubs right now. It's getting to the postseason. But and my fear is that it really regresses. That we have worse issues than just we needed salary dump and the Ricketts are kind of broke at this point. I just feel like, the production from the guys that they've given all this money to, the guy, it needs to be there. Like, there needs to be no more excuses this year. I feel like, we were talking about Chris Bryant finally looking like he was healthy this past 60 games. I hope that continues. That needs to continue. And, you need Bryant, you need Rizzo to just be Rizzo. Like, you're not going anywhere. Like, I feel like, Rizzo is a guy that's just cemented at first base. Like, yeah. I don't see why you would move him. at any point. I mean, unless he really falls off the wagon, falls off the rails.
He has a history with the back problems.
True.
But, I didn't hear anything about that flaring up this year. So hopefully
he looks slim.
Yeah, he looks a lot slimmer every single year. He's gotten a little bit skinnier for sure. So we'll see what the Cubs' future is. Obviously they're not done making moves. Wilson Contreras' name has been thrown out there. You say that Jed Hoyer kind of squashed it as just being rumors. Do you see anyone else possibly on this team getting moved before the season starts? If they can't move Chris Bryant right now because they're waiting for his value to go up, possibly. Do you see maybe Javier Baez or Anthony Rizzo or anybody else maybe being on the trade box?
Only Willie.
Only
Willie right now. I mean,
but they squashed it.
But that's what Jed said. I mean, they also said they were going to contend. And I guess contending.
Do you see them trading Wilson and contending with Miguel Amaya as their starting catcher?
Well, the thing is that which what you've been saying. That's the word on the street is what you've been saying as well. Is that he's too young. He's just, what I'm saying, he's just not ready. Mm-hmm. So you're with Willie, but you don't really necessarily have to be stuck with Willie. Like who are you going to bring in to back up Wilson Contreras? What guys out there? Like, do you have a guy in your system now that's going to do it? I don't know. Are you going to find a backup out in free agency? Like, regardless, who's going to do that, and when will you see guys start to come up? Because I feel like if this retooling, it needs youth. You know what I'm saying? He called it a retool. Like it's a mini rehab. Let's call it rehabbing. On what you have. I just feel like you need to have youth be brought up, and that's where Marquez, that's where Azalai fall into play. That's where and then you'll start to see in the next couple of years young hitters come up. Because we're gonna need those guys. So for me, it's all a lot. It's like you need the youth, but I just feel like you're going to have that core veteran still there after having won a World Series, having dealt with this, because you're not going to win for the next. I don't think you're going to win a World Series, but you're going to gain some experience. You're gonna have to, as a team, you're going to have to really come together and understand. Like, hey, look, talent might not all be there. But maybe you never know. Sometimes teams get catch fire. Maybe they get lucky. That's all how I could see the Cubs getting far. Is just if they get lucky, and that's not what I want to be. So for me, it's like I like this. I like that you're cutting whatever you have to cut. You got some. You didn't get what you should got back, according to some people, but you got prospects back that could potentially help you out. You could probably use this trade bait later on. I didn't see Yu Darvish. What was the point of keeping him? What was the reason to keep Yu Darvish going into next season? He wasn't going to be the reason why we won a World Series. There's so much, like we said, there's so many more issues on the Cubs than just having an ace that could throw 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If anything, the Cubs did him a favor. They got him off the team and traded him to a World Series contender now. They're starting their rebuild, so we'll see.
They said that he didn't get a call or anything.
Oh yeah, he felt a little salty, a little betrayed by the team that he didn't at least get notified that he was going to be traded and stuff like that. Which
Jed just coming in rolling with an iron fist. Get out. You get out.
Jed, that's the way he rolls. That's the way he runs things. I guess there are some GMs that would make that call. I see that, it's a business, and people got to do what they got to do as a business thing. And, if you find out from the media before you hear from that, it's a little messed up, but
I mean, it's shitty. I like you. I don't have any problem with you.
Yeah, I mean, I like you, Darvish. You know, he was good. I wish that he was great for us his whole tenure and wasn't crappy his first year and a half.
And that's where it's.
That's what we need to kind of remind people about.
That's what we need to remind people about, and that's I was kind of going off before we started this, and that just reminded me because nobody gave a goddamn about Yu Darvish after his first season. Nobody cared for Yu Darvish. It was a huge mistake, another a colossal mistake, and then all of a sudden, in this past year and a half, he's found it. And he's been great.
Yeah.
Too little, too late. It's not quite like thank God it wasn't the Jason Hayward situation.
Well, you kind of did because it was like him and Chatwood both were signed that same year, and they both struggled so bad that Darvish had to miss the rest of the season because of injury, and you had to take Chatwood out of there and put him in the bullpen. And the Cubs were still able to win 97 games.
Mm-hmm.
They were still able to make it to the wild card because they had the core guys. They had Javier Baez going off that year, having an MVP type season. And you know what? It was they made it to the wild card game, and you know what? They just ran out of gas, and that was it. But yeah, you know what? Nobody really gave a damn about Yu Darvish after his first year and a half. Everybody said how horrible the signing was. Theo Epstein throwing money away, this and this, comparing it, trying to compare.
That's why I say these bleeding hearts, like
these are Cub fans that became Cub fans after the 2016, after the 2015 season. They became Cub fans during the 2016 season, and they started rooting for the Cubs then. You and I have been Cubs fans since the 90s, rooting for Sosa, Mark Grace, Kerry Wood, Rob Beck, guys like that.
Henry Rodriguez,
Mickey Morandini, Lance Armstrong, or not Lance Johnson.
I love Lance Johnson. Lance Johnson's great.
People like that, we remember, but all these other wannabe diehard Cub fans just became Cub fans during the 2016 season. So
I'm freaking out. I just feel like
they've never really gone through Cubs baseball where they sucked, where they were bad, where they weren't making the playoffs, and they were always losing. Because
a lot of you got to be real. Like think about it like hockey, right? Although we all love the Cubs. Nobody pays attention to Cubs when they're losing. No, but not a soul. But like me and you, because we're junkies, we pay attention to the Cubs, and it's just like the Blackhawks, right? All of a sudden, the Blackhawks win, and like the whole entire city's draped in Blackhawks.
Everybody became a Blackhawks fan when they won.
It was. Look at the Cubs were already a nation. Like it was, they were already known. I'm not saying that. But they became the Cubs because of 16. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who really started to pay attention to the Cubs once 14, 15, 16. Once they got Theo, probably even like that early, that just were like, boom. Now we'll turn our attention solely to the Cubs because they finally are gonna do it. Then they did it, and now you're here. I just don't feel like I said, there was a lot of moves after that World Series that were bad, and Darvish for the beginning of it. I mean, for the and the outlook, like the in its totality, it was a bland deal. Like I could do without that deal with Yu Darvish now. Looking back at it, I could do without it. Yeah. But don't tell me, like don't sit out, don't go on Twitter or wherever and sit and be like, what the hell the Cubs are doing? What are they doing? Because the guy was sitting there getting older, being a bad pitcher. Yeah. And all of a sudden he's going to, I don't see this being sustainable. I don't see Yu Darvish for the next 5 years at age 40 being a dominant pitcher like he is. I don't see it happening. Look what happened when they got rid of Jake Arrieta. We heard the same not as much. I feel like, weirdly enough, I don't feel like it was as much. Maybe it's because people expected Jake to leave.
Yeah.
But people didn't want him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I'm like, you gotta understand, like
They
the guy,
expected
like
him to leave because he had Scott Boras.
right, but the writing was on the wall physically. Like it's like how much longer? How much longer is that arm gonna hold up for you, Darvish? How much, I don't know. I just feel like he was an expendable piece, and he was gone now. Like you used him for exactly what you needed him for at this moment.
Yeah. And in that deal, the Cubs sent away Victor Caratini, his personal catcher, who has caught the most games for him in his whole career. Go figure. So that leaves a vacant spot for the Cubs at backup catcher. We'll see if the Cubs look to fill that in with a veteran catcher to back up Wilson, or if they do decide to call up one of their minor league catchers, either a Miguel Amaya, or I think they got this guy PJ Higgins as another catcher. So we'll see what they do there. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, man. Like right now, I like our little 30 minutes power segments, because I feel like once it starts picking up into the season, these are going to turn into an hour just because things are going to start happening. I like the fact that. I mean, I like the action. I mean, some people might not like the action, but I understand where the Cubs are and where they kind of need to go. They need to position themselves where they get younger while holding on to this core. And it's going to be a minefield, dude. Like that's really what it is. You got to really navigate through troubled waters. It's hard for me to see them, like I said, other than within the next 2-3 years, really contending. So I feel like do it now as opposed to later, because later it might be too late.
Yeah. And you know what? Trading away Yu Darvish, cuts payroll off their books, and that possibly opens up a possible extension talk with either Rizzo or Baez or a Bryant, So we'll see. Hopefully they sign Baez, extend him, keep him, make him one of the cornerstones on our team, and then keep Rizzo, and
right.
We'll see what goes on with Bryant. So
yeah, I have a feeling, and to me, three. Bryant, Rizzo, Baez. Mm-hmm. That's the true core. I mean, as much as they love Willie and they want to deny the reports of him being traded, I just still feel a young catcher who could hit the way he hits is more valuable right now in his youth than holding on to him, and maybe they never have a DH. What are you going to put Willie in the outfield? Mm-hmm. I mean, if he can still move, yeah, but he'll be slower. I feel like Willie, after his athleticism has faded, is probably going to be a solid DH. I still think he could hit. I just like if you're not going to contend, like I said, if your team is bad halfway through the season, look for Wilson Contreras to move. Yeah,
totally. I mean, you probably could get a lot of in a return in a package deal, and hopefully he starts off hot like he traditionally does. And you know what? Yeah, if the Cubs are not in the playoff hunt and teams are calling asking for Wilson Contreras, you gotta listen. You gotta take those offers seriously, and you gotta do what's smart for your organization for the future. If that's what you want to do, you don't want to be this team where you're gonna barely make it to the playoffs and you're gonna keip losing in the first.
Yeah, I'm not trying to scrape by winning division after division with a mediocre team.
Yeah.
Hoping that we get we get to the playoffs. Like
you want to win the World Series.
You want
the goal
World Series
is to win the World Series.
Yeah,
and you got to start now. This is what you got to do.
And that's right. Like you can't win the World Series every year, so why not just make the sacrifice?
Yeah,
do it. Like do it right now. Don't wait, because like I said, waiting could bite you in the ass, man. Yeah, it really can. It really can.
I'm like I said before, when Jed Hoyer got hired, I believe in Jed Hoyer. I believe in what he sees his vision as a team, and you know what? Let's go. Let's do it, man. You know, that's pretty much all I gotta say for that Yu Darvish deal.
Yeah. I'm pretty much done too. I want to see. I want to see what unfolds. I really do. I want to see how they approach it because, you know, if in their minds they really believe they can contend, okay, let's see how you're going to contend. Let's see what you're going to do.
David Ross is going to have to be
let's see
hell
how
of a manager.
David Ross is going to have to be one hell of a manager. And trust me, look, I hope he is. Yeah. I hope David Ross manages his ass off. I know managers aren't worth as much nowadays, according to people, but I hope spiritually for that team in the locker room, the presence. I hope he's worth it. You know,
deep down, I kind of knew before he took this job that he expected a whole lot of change happening in the organization. If not, he wouldn't have taken this job.
No.
So I think he was well informed before, well aware that Theo possibly was going to be here no more. And Jed was going to be in charge and had to do all these moves. And so, hey, man, let's do it. So moving on, Cubs made another, move. They added somebody to their 40-man roster this time. Actually, he's an outfielder. So that means that he penciled in right now. He's one of our starting outfielders with Ian Happ and Jason Hayward. That the season started now. His name is Phillip Ervin. He played with the Reds and the Mariners last season, split time between them. Didn't have a really good 2020 season. Only got 11 hits and 74 at-bats in 37 games. But in 2019, when he was with the Reds, he actually was a good player. Overall, he had a .271 batting average. 7 home runs, 11 doubles, 7 triples in 94 games. And he kills left-handers. Against lefties, he had a .349 average, .411 slugging percentage, .328 on base in 95 plate appearances against lefties. So he could be that guy that, you know, could help the Cubs team against left-handed pitchers because the Cubs struggled last year against left-handed pitching. Part of the reason why they let go of guys like Albert Almora and Kyle Schwarber.
Right. And I mean, like I said, we'll see. I like kicking the tires on some of these guys. The young guys is what I'm more concerned with. It's like, all right, who are you going to go after next? Like if you do trade people off, who are you going to go after next? Or do they just keep the 4 guys? Do they just keep Contreras, Baez, Rizzo, and Bryant and say, hey, you know what? We're just going to try to win with these guys. Everybody else is going to fall in place.
Well, you know what? If the deal isn't right for Contreras, you still got him for another year. You got him for the 2021 year, and you got him for 2022 before he's eligible for arbitration or whatever. So you got him for that long. You don't need to trade him away right now.
No.
You still got him for next year, and you could trade him away next year if his value is higher. So, yeah, I mean, they could.
That's my worry though, because of his injury background.
He gets
injured. He gets hurt. If he gets hurt again, let's say he gets hurt again. Let's say he's having a great, let's say he starts off hot, April, May, into June. He's pretty much hot, and he kind of cools down, whatever. But he's probably, let's say he's the number 2 catcher in the league at the moment, and the Cubs suck.
Trade him
right there. See, that's my thing. What if he gets hurt at that moment and they don't trade him? You know what I'm saying? What if they don't trade him and then he gets hurt later on in the season? And now you're here like, oh man.
If the Cubs,
what do you do with it? What do you do with it now?
Just
older?
Like how you said, if the Cubs aren't contending and he's the number 2 catcher in the league and they didn't trade him, then that's a big, serious miss by this Cubs organization if they don't do that. That would be a big mistake. Obviously, yeah, you got to trade him there. You can't wait and hope that next year his value's even higher than it was then. No way. He's an aging catcher, 28 right now, going to be 29 in the middle of the year. He's not, we're how much higher can his value be, right?
I mean, like I said, other than unless he stays healthy and just stays hot, like what was it? What was that year we got hurt out?
Like 2018.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, unless he has a 2018 season where he's just hot and the Cubs are doing great. Cool. Keep him then, because maybe you could fight. Maybe you could still like really truly contend without having to break up the band. But I feel like you're gonna have to break up the band. I do. I really do.
No, yeah. I mean, there's gonna be people that are gonna have to get traded for this team to get good again. Yeah, for sure. It was like back in the day where they had Ryan Dempster and Derek Lee. We didn't want them to get traded, but they traded Dempster to Texas and they got Kyle Hendricks back.
Yeah.
You got Kyle Hendricks who pitched great for you.
Game 7 starter, dude.
Yeah. He beat the Dodgers in Game 6.
Beat the Dodgers in Game 6, started Game 7, like ice cold, like you said.
Yeah.
But, all right, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Great talking. Let's go ahead and try to get our intro together.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people just staring at the picture of the still pic the entire time listening to stuff. But anyway, man, for Josh Ford, I'm Ivan Vargas. You guys have been listening to the Rebel North podcast.
Last episode of the year.
Last episode of the year. We'll be back quickly. It's a quick turnaround, but until then, guys, peace.